Welcome to the Principled Women in Business podcast with your host, Lauren Dulgheru, aka the Solutionist. You are about to discover priceless insight, experiences, and perspectives that will inspire and empower you to break down your own obstacles and reprogram your own limiting beliefs. All while raising women business owners to the pedestal that has been long awaiting, the coronation of true principled women in business. Welcome to the Principled Women in Business podcast.
Welcome to the Principled Women in Business podcast. I'm your host, Lauren Dulgheru, aka the Solutionist. I'm the nation's #1 business strategist, and I help particularly women business owners to start, capitalize, grow, scale, and ultimately to exit their businesses. Because after all, we do start businesses to elevate our socioeconomic status, to live that lifestyle that we've desired, but really to create generational wealth and impact for our families, for our children, for our communities. And here at this podcast, we're really talking about the issues or the problems or the struggles that we as business owners, as founders are experiencing and how we can work through that. We're really here to isolate solutions and put solutions in action because nobody wants to be struggling with issues and problems for any prolonged period of time. So this show is all about creating solutions.
Welcome to the Principled Women in Business podcast.
When you come on, please feel very natural. Nobody here has experienced something that somebody else has not. So you're not alone. Everybody that I talk to, that we talk to, so many times we're afraid to expose what we're going through because we feel like we're that one person island, that we're the only person going through that particular struggle, through that particular situation. And truly, that's not the truth. You definitely feel that way. I can appreciate that. But I'm here to really expose this is a team sport. Success is a team sport. And I want to help you get the most out of your success and get there faster. So today I am joined by the most beautiful Miss Wendy of Wennevill Designs, and the magic that she creates in other people's homes and the experience that she creates is irreplaceable. And we're going to get into that. So today on this show, we are going to delve deep into business struggles, but more importantly, mom struggles, mom balancing struggles. For those of you who don't know, I'm a single mom. I have a 6-year-old little boy who is my world. He just lights up my life. But there's still that balancing act with being a mom, with being a chairwoman, with being a business owner. And how do we create that balance? And I know that I'm not the only one struggling with this. Even if it's not that mom balance, it's a parent balance, it's a dad balance. Whatever title we want to assign to that and whatever we're identifying with is perfect. But let's talk about how we're going to get solutions. So Wendy, welcome to the Principled Women in Business podcast. It is an honor to have you here with me. Say hi to everybody.
Hi, everybody. Thank you so much for having me on your show. I'm so excited. And what you're bringing is so amazing because, like you said, as moms, as business owners, we have our struggles. It's not easy at all. This is a tough job. We have the hardest job because we wear so many hats. We're the nurse, we're the doctor, we're the teacher, we're the Uber driver. We're everything when it comes to being a mom.
No understatement, even in the span of an hour. Like just this morning, I went from alarm clock to nurse to escort, crossing guard, back to kissy face mom. And then here I am as, a trustee, as a business owner. And to be able to make that switch, I think that takes a lot of mental prioritization, blah, 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 prioritization. How did you actually find that balance? Or do you still struggle with it? Tell us more about that.
First of all, I think the hardest part is keeping a straight face because we're the parent. Even because there's times that we wake up and, you're struggling with whether it's just a hard day or you're tired, or some of us have depression, anxiety, and you have to keep on that straight face, to be the mom and the teacher and everything else to your children. I'm actually a mother of 5. I have four of my own and one that I adopted. My children are actually all adults. So except for yes, my oldest.
Impossible. You look like 30 something. I don't believe that at all. No.
My oldest is 27. My youngest, is 16, and she actually lives with her dad because I moved from Orlando to Boston. From Boston to Orlando a year ago, and she wanted to finish off her school year with, her last couple of years with her dad, with her friends back home. So we kind of go back and forth. But, again, I raised 5 and I've always ran a business. I've always worked. When I wasn't running a business, I worked corporate full time. And as you can imagine, with 5, it's a lot, The main thing to me was structure. I had so much structure. We had schedules and everyone respected them at the house. Obviously, you go through, like you said, trying to get them up in the morning. It's like, especially teenagers, the worst. But you give them incentives. Like I found things as a mom, I wanted to always give back to them. Like you said, your son's your world. My kids are my babies. And I love being a mom. I've always loved being a mom. When I wasn't a mom, I had everybody else's kids. Like I love, even now, like I'm always taking my nephews and nieces or whoever I can around to do stuff. But like every weekend on Saturdays, I'd have something for them to do, whether it be like, let's go for a walk in the park, or I'm old fashioned and I want to get them off the electronics. So I taught them the stuff that I grew up with. I was like, kids, like, let's go outside and play kick the can. And they're like, kick the can, Mom? What is that? But then when they do it, they love it. Because these kids these days, they're so used to the electronics. They don't know how to play outside. Like I asked my friends' kids to go play outside and they just sit there looking around like, whatever they're supposed to do. There is no imagination anymore. So you have to help them. So I get out there with them and I'm like, let's go climb a tree or let's go whatever, like teach them. They need that. And when they get it, they love it,
Yes. And that's funny that you say kick the can and hopscotch. Remember hopscotch?
Yes. Oh, I love hopscotch. I used to play that for hours in double dutch.
Yes. See, and it's perfect because you're in Orlando. So I feel like the brand new sidewalk chalk that's sitting right over there. We're going to have to play hopscotch really soon.
It's, but if you have like a garage or, any little area, you just have to do it. And when you do it with them, you're building memories too. They don't forget. One thing, so living in Massachusetts for so long, it's always cold there, like 9 months out of the year. So we had to get creative what to do with the kids. And we wanted our children to always we're big on like having them build memories with us so they can always remember. So we created what we called our family night, which it was every Thursday. And I know it was like during the week or whatever, but we're like, you know what? We want to make sure that we abide by this day for them. So every Thursday was family night. And we would either watch a movie or play a board game, or if we had the money for it at the time, because it was hard to take 5 kids out, we would either go out to dinner or bowling or roller skating. But that night was their night. So the minute my ex-husband got home from work and I got home from work, we'd have dinner at the table, which is another thing we'll talk about in a minute. We always had dinner as a family at the table. After that, it was family night. And everyone, it was like religious to us. Everyone around us, friends, family, whatever, they knew how important that night was for us. We shut the phones off, no electronics on family night for anyone. And it was just focusing on each other. And like our friends, even, I don't care if you're getting married or you're celebrating something, they knew like, oh no, we can't have it on Thursday. That's Wendy and Omar's family night. They're not going to come if we do it on that day. Like that was religiously our day. Until this day, my sons are 27 and 24 that live here with me in Orlando. And they're like, Mom, I'm coming over. It's family night. Like they've built that. And I think they're going to carry that on to their children. And I have friends that now have started their own family night because of that. And the kids looked forward to it because that was their special day. So I think, giving them that, even if they were punished, if they were grounded, they still get to come and be part of family night. That was so important. And they'll never forget that.
Oh, more families need to do that. And, it's interesting that you mentioned that because that was something that was so run of the mill as a conversation. And even when I was a child, business owners that I knew they would do that too. They would take that one night because they're so busy, and it would be reserved just for the family. But you don't hear about this anymore.
Yeah, it's sad because I think everybody's so caught up on their phones that they forget to push away, and kids need that attention. They need that one-on-one. My kids with me, they were so clingy to me all the time. Anywhere I was in the house, they were with me, and I loved it. They suffocated me, but I loved it. And we never allowed them to have social media until they turned 18. And it's crazy now that they're 24, 27, they don't care for social media because they're just not used to it. They're used to spending time, or they like, my boys are into like the video gaming or whatever, but they don't care for the social media because I kept them off of that. I wanted them to have a more childlike experience. I was very strict with what they watched. I monitored what they watched on TV. I had the parental locks on certain channels. Like, I wanted to keep my kids as long as possible. And yes, it takes more work, but you know what? I was a full-time student in college when I was a mom, and I worked a full-time job. I was able to make it. I worked 9 to 5, came home, cooked dinner, got the kids ready with their homework, got them ready for bed, and then I was off to school at night. I went to college at night, and I did it. I struggled. It was hard, but it was worth it. It was worth it because I wanted to keep that normality for them. And kids mimic me more than you think. You think they're not listening to you when you're telling them certain things, but now that my kids are adults, I see me in them. When I see them with children, I'm like, oh my God, they're acting just like me. When they used to be like, I'm not going to be like that with my kids because I was strict, but I was the fun mom, I kept that balance.
So I do have a question. You said that you went to college and you worked. What were you doing as an employee when you had a job?
I was running a customer service department.
Okay. Now the epic question. What was the deciding change the world moment that had you say, I'm going to open a business, and the interior or the staging business at that?
I'm kind of a control freak. I don't know. I think that since I was little, I have a very strong personality. I'm very much a leader. And I worked in a corporate world. I worked in the medical field. I was a medical assistant for like 4 years. I guess I'm a perfectionist when it comes to my employments, and I always wanted to go above and beyond, and not everybody that you work with is the same way. And I found myself that because when I was in corporate, I didn't have a college degree, I was doing these leading roles, but not getting paid for them, So I'm like, well, I'm working as the customer service supervisor, or actually I was working more like the manager, and yet I'm not getting the recognition for it. I'm not getting paid for it. And then as a mom, there was times when my kids were sick, and your employer wouldn't understand that your kid is sick and you need to stay home. And I hated that I couldn't be there with them. They were with the babysitter. So I was like, you know what? I need to make a change. I need to do something different where I could be home and I can balance being able to work and be a mom. So by doing that, by opening up my own business, I was able to do what I love and still be a mom. And how I was able to balance was I got my children involved.
Welcome to the Principled Women in Business podcast.
People seem to think that you have to wait till your kids are 15, 17, 18 to start talking about college and, stocks and bonds. No. In my home, when I sat and worked, or my ex-husband sat and worked, we talked about stocks, bonds, we started talking to my kids when they were 7. Like, we get them excited. Oh my God, college is the best thing in the world. We started getting that into their head. And, it's crazy. As a mom and as a dad, you kind of can tell your kids' personality and what you think they would be good at. Because, okay, our kids, even ourselves, we think we know what we're good at. I went to school, I studied at college to be a paralegal, and I'm an interior designer. So I didn't want my kids to make the same mistake of going to school for something they're not going to, do. So from a young age, we started instilling things in their head. Like my daughter, she's so caring and soft and sweet, and she likes, fixing things. And I thought, she'd probably be a great nurse. with her personality, the way she does things, the way she handles things. And since she was 7, I'd say, oh my God, you're going to be the best nurse in the world. Oh my God, you're going to be the greatest nurse. Now she's in her 3rd year of high school, and she is gearing towards being a nurse when she goes to college. And all my boys, same thing. My 27-year-old, he loved the kitchen. He loved cooking. He loved everything about food. And I was like, you know what? You're going to be great at running a restaurant one day. You're going to have your own restaurant. So he studied, hospitality and management. So it's, you kind of know, and you gear them towards that, and you get them excited about that, and they get to focus on those things.
I love that you brought that up. Specifically because I've had people commend me, and I've had people reprimand me for getting my boy involved. So I'm professionally a private banker. I help people to solve problems, right? But one of my other functions is to help people get into cryptocurrency so that they can, have a really safe place to store value. Against inflation and all of these other things. And I get him involved, hey, Dominic, let's buy some Bitcoin. I think it's time to make some money today. We have to go check the prices and make sure that we're pulling out our profit right now before it goes back into the market. What app are we going to use that? What platform are we going to put it to? What token should we put our profit? Should we rebuy something, or should we do this? But, also dealing with, regular everyday clients. He doesn't understand the full construct of how a business works, but I like to sit him down and be like, so Dominic, these are the problems that this business is experiencing. What do you think we could do about that? What would be a good way to, get them to the next level? And
that's amazing.
Even though the response might be absolutely nonsensical from a business owner standpoint, it's not the requirement that the response is correct or even reasonable. It's the requirement just to get their brains in gear, right? Because they're so on their phones, TV,
yes.
iPads, all of these different electronics. And I'm one of those moms. We don't watch TV during the week. And if you behaved well during the week, maybe you can have a couple hours on Saturday. Other than that,
I love that. That's how we were. No, there was no video games during the week in my house. My kids, everyone in my home went to bed at 8:30. I don't care if you're 17 years old, bedtime's 8:30. You need to get a full night's sleep to go to school the next day. And you know what? They thought we were tough, but now they're so successful. They're doing so great. And like you said, I started teaching my son about stocks when he was like 10, and he loved it. He's 24 now, and he makes a lot of money on the stock market because he already knew it. He loves it. He loves it so much, and they feel like they're part of the business. So I would bring my kids to, when I had, when I was staging a home or something, I would bring them with, and they would be so excited. First of all, because they're spending time with me, but also because they felt like they were doing something. They felt accomplished because they helped a mommy finish the job,
That's amazing. And all of the listeners out here, or if you're watching our video reel, get your kids involved in your business. Maybe in some industries or in businesses, it's not appropriate. Okay, I get it. But just for that critical thinking, just to get them, out of their shell to, think better. Because if they don't engage, like you said, with the parent, whatever title you're going to assign to that, we're leaving them at a disadvantage.
But you're teaching them society skills that they're not getting at school. You're teaching them so much that, how to handle different problems, how to handle different clients, you teach them how to handle the different situation. They're learning skills at a young age that they're going to need in society. So it's an amazing thing, and by getting them involved, we had one rule. So I read years and years ago about having one safe place to have serious conversation with your kids. And, my kids, it was crazy. One time my son, the teacher, he was in kindergarten. She pulled his hair in school. We drove home. We went to the market. He mentioned nothing about it. And it wasn't until we got home, our safe was our dining room table where we have our deep conversations. And the minute we hit the kitchen and he's by the dining room table, he's like, oh, Mom, I have to tell you something. And I'm like, what, baby? What's going on? He's like, my teacher, she did this to me today. She pulled my hair. And I was like,
wow.
Yes. But he felt safe enough in that spot to talk about it. So we as parents decided a long time ago that whenever we're going to make any serious, we're going to do anything, whether buy a car or a house, or when we started fostering children, we wanted to make the kids part of any important conversation, because they are part of the family, whether they're young or not. It's their home, it's their life. There's part of us. So anything dramatic we're going to change, we made them part of the conversation and gave them the voice to tell us how they feel about it. What do you guys think? Should we get a new car? Should we move? That meant something to them. It made them respect us more because they felt like they had a voice.
You are just touching on all of these things. I was speaking to my mentor not even 2 days ago about this. And kids, yes, they have little bodies, but they are fully capable of speaking and functioning on what we would say an adult level. But it's not an adult and it's not a kid, it's human, right?
Yeah.
We're all human. So whether or not we're in little bodies or big bodies, whatever the case is, we have to learn how to communicate well. And, the baby talk and all of that doesn't help them to communicate well, because now we have to unlearn that language of baby talk, right? We have to learn a brand new language, which is English. So, being able to get them involved, like, hey, what car should we get? But even more than that, I talk to Dominic all the time, what car should we get and why? Why that car? Does it get great gas mileage? Does it have higher safety ratings? Like, what's the why in there? Because I want to teach them how to, have great reasoning and logic. And this kind of comes in with, entrepreneurship and balancing parenthood, because even while I'm sitting at my desk, he comes home, they have school, they get out early here in the South, up north, they, get home until 4:35. But here they get home early and I'll be at my desk, doing my work, and he'll pull up his little chair and he'll be doing his homework right next to me. And it's still that work day. So whether or not, a lot of parents, a lot of business owners will say, no, my kid gets home at 3:30. The day's over. I can't do anything. But why? And I think a lot of that is training and conditioning and what we tell them they are capable of. Because whatever we tell them, they're going to believe that.
Well, with that comes words of affirmation. I'm big on words of affirmation. And from a young age, I would tell them, like I said, tell my daughter, you're going to be a great nurse. You're going to be a great policeman. You're amazing at this. And I never let them doubt themselves. That was not allowed. Negative words like stupid were not allowed. Those were swear words in our house. You couldn't say stupid or call somebody else stupid. That's not okay. We spoke positive words into them and wanted them to repeat that. So we would make sure to let them know, in my house, I never accepted anything less than a B. I told them, why I don't accept anything less than a B? Because I know that you're smart. And if you're struggling with something, you have the tools at school that you can get help. So if you get a C, I want that C to come back with a letter from the teacher saying, you know what? Omar tried so hard to bring up his grade, but he just doesn't get it. He's really struggling. Then I can understand that C. But if you get a C or a D and there's no reason, you're just being lazy, that's not acceptable. That's when you get grounded. And I don't play. Let me tell you, I was the fun mom. I would play with them. I would take them. My kids, I have no lie, probably 25,000 pictures because of everything that we did. It was at roller skating or, ice castles or Disney or whatever I could do with them. I was always doing something with my kids, arts and crafts, whatever. Their friends, my house was the house where everybody's friends would come, sleepovers, whatever. So I am giving you, all these gifts. You only have one job. That's to get good grades in school. That's it. So if you can't accomplish that job, then you don't deserve these things. And I did. Listen, I've taken away Christmas. I took away Halloween. Oh yeah, I took away the big things. If there was an F or something bad or some misbehavior, I'm taking those things away. But you know what? Now as an adult, they appreciate. I told my daughter the other day, the one that I adopted, I was like, at least I know I was hard on you, and maybe you won't understand it to you as a parent. And she was like, Mom, stop right there. She was like, stop. She was like, you know what? I'm the woman I am today because of you, because you believed in me, because when no one else in the foster system thought that I would be anything, you believed in me and you never gave up. And because you were hard on me, it's why I'm the way I am now. And I'm like, okay.
Aw, I love that.
Yeah.
So what is one big piece of advice that you would give any business owner that's also a parent and really, creating that balance between parenthood and being an owner?
Having your business is obviously very important. I take my business very seriously, but family comes first. We live in a time now that we've all experienced firsthand, seen many loss,
Yeah.
And children, don't forget. And your time with them is so valuable. And I know that you get home and you get that call, being a realtor, especially like a realtor or me, interior designer, I get calls at 10 o'clock at night. You have to know when to say no. You have to be the boss, and you have to set your hours and expectations for your clients. And there has to be some sort of respect. And when you're home with your family, that's your time with your family. You're not going to get that back. God forbid, I've had people that have lost their children at a young age, and you don't get that back. So don't take away from your children for a business. Of course, give your time to your business, but when you're with your children, dedicate that time to them. Put the phone down. That message, that Facebook post, that can wait, because those kids, they remember. They do. They remember the time that you spent with them, and that's good. That's going to build their character and who they are and how they're going to be with their families. So as a mom, I'm thankful that I gave that time to my kids, because I have a great relationship with them, and they're such good kids. I'm very blessed. To me, the most important thing has always been and will always be them. So I say, yes, take your business very serious, but you have to have a level of respect and a cutoff, 5, 6, whatever it is. After that, you're home with your family. It's time to focus on your family. Because even if you work corporate, think about it, everybody was replaceable. You take away from there's times I took away from my kids that I should have been home with my kids because they were sick, and my boss didn't understand it. I still had to go to work. I wish I would have been like, no, you know what? I'm staying home with my child, because he needed me then and I wasn't there. And those times, you know what? As adults, my kids throw it in my face now. They're like, Mom, you weren't there. And I'm like, I wish I could have been, but they don't get it. But they're right. I should have. That was more important.
Yeah. And I was saying this to myself just today, as a boss, you do have to have that break to tell yourself, like, no matter what the business really needs right now, he needs me more. And that's it.
Yeah.
Because the reality is, we're business owners. We can get someone else to do it for us.
Exactly.
Delegate it. But you also mentioned something here, put the phone down after 5 o'clock. The social media post isn't important. But I want to remind everyone, remember the day when there wasn't a computer?
Exactly.
Remember when you had to march your happy butt to your desk to make a phone call? And if you weren't at the desk, you didn't get it. There was no such thing as email. People couldn't bark up your tree. So This is a new phenomenon. And that's probably why parents, business owners are really, they're experiencing that. How do I make this work? Because it wasn't always like this. My parents, I came into when, computers were just coming out. So that really wasn't a balancing act that they had to deal with. Right?
Exactly.
I think this is something that really our generation is, now we have to figure it out. Fix the plane in the air, right? Now we're taking off, we're business owners, but now we got to figure it out and fix that plane in the air.
You made a good point. I mean, back then we had voicemail. So if you're not home, leave a message.
Yeah.
Guess what?
Exactly.
I'm not available. Leave a message. I'll get back. Nothing is that dramatic. The world's not going to end. Like, they can wait. So what you're not going to get back is your time with your children, and they grow so fast, fast.
I remember, can you see my arm? I remember when Dominic would fit on my arm, just on my forearm, and his little head would be right there. And now he's this huge monster human being who's going to be taller than me next year, probably. I don't know how it happened, but you're right. The time with your kids goes by so quickly. Time is also our most valuable commodity. It is, you are only going to get so much of it. You cannot earn more of it. You can't purchase more of it. you can't even be rewarded with more of it. So we really have to focus as business owners on the family, on the house, because we want our kids to have the very best. We want them to be high functioning in society. We want them to be loving and caring and impactful in their community. Put the phone down. It's okay.
Yeah. But you know what? If you come up with resolutions, because I know moms are going to be like, oh, but I have to cook, but I have to clean. Let me tell you, I cooked a full course meal every single night with 5 children, running a business. My kids went to 4 different schools, because they were 4 years apart. So I was getting up in the morning to drive them to 4 different schools. Like, oh, wow. My kids, I was that helicopter mom that didn't want to put them on the bus because I was afraid that something would happen to them on the bus. Like, so trust me, I was making the effort. But you find things that's going to help you. Like, for example, on Sundays, every Sunday we planned out our meals for the week. So Sundays are the day that we would prepare everything. We'd go food shopping. I'd get the kids involved. They helped me. I'd ask the kids, like, what do you want for dinner this week? And I would buy just what we needed to make those meals for the week. A, we're saving money because we're not buying extra food. And B, I've already marinated and got the food ready for the week so that it's easier for me when I come home to just throw it on the grill, throw it on the stove to have the meals ready to go. It gets them feeling like they're involved in making the choice of what we're going to eat, and give them chores. Parents are like, oh, my kid doesn't want to do them chores. Why is your kid you're the parent. Listen, I had a chart and they all took turns. One did the dishes, one swept, one mopped, one did the laundry. In my house, the kids did the chores, not me. I'm cooking, I'm cleaning, I'm working.
How else are we going to teach them to have their own house?
Exactly. And now my boys are 24, 27. They're single and they cook their own meals. They can do everything for themselves. I hear these grown adults saying, I don't know how to do that. What? No, teach them. And there's no, oh, but she's only 7. Listen, my daughter was in the kitchen cooking with me at 7 years old. They were doing the dishes at 7 years old. They can grab a mop and sweep a 7 years. They can clean the toilet at 5 and 6 years old. I guarantee you they can do these things. And it's only going to make them stronger. They're going to appreciate you more because they know what you're going through as a parent because they have to do some of the chores too.
I don't like calling them, I agree with the chores thing. I just don't like the word chores, right? Because in my own mind of minds, I see them as this is just things we have to do as functioning members of a household. And then there's things we're going to have to do to be functioning members in society. And Dominic started the chores when did he start walking? A year. So he started, feeding the cats when he was a year and a half old. He would go get the cup and he would feed the cats and he'd pick up the little pieces and, he'd put his laundry away. He'd put the laundry in the wash. He was a year and a half. How are you going to tell me that these kids can't?
Exactly. Yeah. We had a song when they were like a year and a half. The Barney song, the clean up.
Yes.
Everywhere. So we did the cleanup song because when you're done with your toys, they had to go back in. Because in my house, if you left the toy laying around, I would throw it away, hide it for a while, throw it away because I'm like, if you don't care about the toy enough to put it away, then it's not staying in this house. I'm not your maid. I'm not going to clean up after you. You have to clean up after yourself. And you know what? They learn structure. They learn it and they love it. And you know what? With 5 children, anyone can tell you they would come in my house and you can eat off my floor. They would say, how do you keep this house so clean with 5 kids? You know how? Because everyone's involved. We are a family. We're all involved. We all do this together.
Yeah.
And parents give kids too many choices when it comes to what they can and cannot do. No, I'm the parent. There is no choice. You will do it. Or they get something taken away, or you don't want to help and go in your room. No TV. It's not their choice. It's not, oh, he doesn't want to do it. I don't know about you. Me growing up, I wish I would talk back to my mom and say, I'm not doing it. In my country, we have what we call chancletas. The what do you call those? The
chanclas.
The chanclas, yes.
Yes.
Flip-flops. And I would think my flip-flop right on that butt if I didn't do what I was supposed to do. So, no, and I think, I feel like so many of these young adults are so weak when it comes to businesses. And everyone now is so sensitive. Don't call me that. Don't say that. I'm gender this, blah, blah. Because of the way they're being brought up, because they're being babied so much. We're not putting backbones in these children because you're just giving them everything they want. And that's not how we were raised. We're the way we are because we had those strong parent figures, because they didn't tolerate disrespect. Till this day, I am 45 years old and I will not talk back to an elder. Never. Or swear or in front of my mom and my grandmother say a swear or a curse. You kidding me? Never, ever. And that's how I raise my kids, with please and thank you and self-respect for not themselves, but for others, especially
manners
adults.
And courtesy is always in fashion. You mentioned that about, young people these days. There's very high level of sensitivity and a lot of new terminology coming out. And I like to think that, this kind of loops back to chores. Going back and being a participating member of the household not only teaches him responsibility of how to have his own household, but it teaches him mental strength. Who cares if you don't want to do it? It really doesn't matter if you want or don't want to do it. Nobody cares. Just get it done. But that also comes, because I want him to be a business owner. I want him to take over my empire. And I have to teach him that there's a process to everything. You clean up your toys, just like I must clean up my desk. We have to put our files together, just like you must put your homework in your binder. Everything parallels as we move through the years. But if we really don't put that mental toughness, that sense of responsibility, it is really truly no earthly, godly wonder why society is currently experiencing what it is. And as business owners, we are definitely role models for our communities, our societies, and our circles. We have to teach other people, even sometimes adults, how to have that mental toughness, that mental fortitude. And let's just get it done. The word of how something is identified isn't necessarily important. It's how is that going to be executed and how can we use this to help other people? Make sense?
No, it makes no sense, because remember, when you go into the real world, you're not going to get a choice. You're not going to go to corporate and tell your boss, I don't want to do that. You have to do what you're told. It's your job.
Can you imagine? No, I don't want to do that.
Yeah.
I don't feel like it. I feel like that's violating me. Okay, well then you're fired. Bye.
Exactly. Exactly. Which is why you don't teach them that from a young age. I'm your leader. I'm your parent. And you will respect me. You have to be able to do what you're told. Obviously, if something makes you feel uncomfortable, we will talk about it. You always have that open table to talk about something that makes you feel uncomfortable. But at the end of the day, we all have responsibilities. It's my responsibility as your parent to provide for you, to feed you, to give you a home. It's your responsibility to get your homework done and help around the house.
Yeah.
That's all.
Yeah. This generation, we have so many new things to figure out because, my parents didn't come up in a computer age. That didn't happen until I was 5 or 6. So now we have these new things to figure out, but, there's people like you and there's people like me where, we're working every day to perfect that balance, to help other business owners to realize that there can be balance and there doesn't need to be this sense of, oh my gosh, what am I going to do? I've got all these clients. I've got step back. Everything has a solution, but I think it's really important to hammer home that we need to focus on the family, on the household. And I'm not going to go we're going to do the label thing. Sorry, Wendy. But
that's okay.
If you're a mom, you're a dad, however you want to identify yourself in that point, you're bringing up a human. You're bringing up another human being and you want them to be the very best. So you have to train them the very best. And sometimes that means you need to put down the darn stinking phone. It's past business hours and now it's family time. And I think it's so beautiful that you had created a family night. You should really, start teaching that. I think that would be, something really good for you, for other people mainly, because you perfected that, is to teach people how to have that family night. Because, so many business owners are like, family night? What do you mean? We order a pizza and then we watch a show. But you said board games. When was the last time somebody pulled out a board game?
not only board game, like we even made up games. So growing up, my sister, remember, I'm 77 baby, so we didn't have video games till like maybe high school. We had Atari. So we had to make up games. We had to figure out how to entertain each other. And we had this game that we called Stop. So you would draw like 8 lines or whatever. And the first one's like name, last name, then country, color. So each line was like something, an object. And you'd pick out a letter of the alphabet from a bowl and say the letter was F. So you had to fill out everything on the squares, a name that starts with the letter F, a last name, a color with the letter F. Whoever finishes first, you say stop. And then you would get 2 points for each of the ones that you had. And whoever had the most points at the end, you win. So we play those games with our kids, or, you know, we would do like a night, make your own pizza night or sewing night, teach them how to sew, teach them how to crochet, like teach them different things. I'd always go to the craft store. They always have stuff that you can make your own makeup, make your own whatever. And it's like $5 for the stuff. It's, you know, not expensive. And I'd do something different with them. I was always looking to do something different with them. And I would ask them, you know, Pinterest has a million things you can make with sticks and stones from around the house, you know, but we always found something to do to keep them that day special. And they loved it. Like, it's about just spending that time with you. It doesn't have to be perfect. It's just, they get to spend that time and it means so much to them.
The time with our kids is fleeting, right? We've already said, like, how did that tiny baby end up to be this human that he's going to be taller than me? And really, as business owners, I understand better than most. You know, there was times where I had issues with, you know, mommy business balance. But everybody does. You're not alone. And even though sometimes it's hard to walk away from the business and really put that down, remind yourself that this time is fleeting. You know, even if it's, you know, maybe it's not your child, maybe it's your niece, your nephew, big brother, little sister program, that counts too. You know, having those relationships with, you know, younger, small people is going to make them stronger. And if you're a business owner, you're already a very strong person. So help instill that to somebody else.
But don't beat yourself up either.
No, you can't.
I myself
definitely can't.
I've always struggled with anxiety and some depression, and some days are better than other. But you can't compare yourself to other moms because everyone's situation is different. You don't know whose child's, you know, battling autism or some other disease or illness or struggles. We don't know. So you can't beat yourself up and say, oh, I wish I was like her. No, you know what? The fact that you get up and you try and you do your best, that makes you the best mom in the world. That's all your child needs. It's a mom that just cares, that listens to them, gives them time, and that you try. That's what's important. That's the most valuable thing for them as a mom. Don't compare yourself to somebody else. Oh, I wish I could do what she does. You don't know what their schedule's like. You don't know what they have. So you can't. You have to be the best that you can be. And as long as you're trying, that makes you the best mom. I promise. It does.
I love that. And, somebody out there needed that message.
Yeah.
And I'm guilty as charged. You know, I've looked at other moms, been like, oh, I wish I could do that. But I always have to remember, you know, give myself that face palm and say, no. You know, everything you do, you're trying so hard. You're giving that time. You're teaching them. Forgive yourself. You know, you have to, you know, really learn how to forgive yourself in that moment and love yourself. And then just turn back to your small human and say, let's do this.
Yeah.
But, you know, what would be the one piece of advice that you would tell parent business owners not to do? So you've already said to, you know, create that boundary. But what would you tell them never to do when we're creating parenthood balance as business owners?
You know, one mistake that I felt like I made as a mom is I didn't listen enough. I think it's not about not doing, it's about actually doing. I wish I would have listened more. I was set in my ways as a mom. I was strict. And there was times that I feel like they wanted to voice how they felt, and I didn't give them that chance. I wish I would have done that more. And what not to do is, again, like what I said earlier, don't put your business before your family ever. It's not worth it. I see children, when their moms are on the phone and they're standing there looking at them. And at the moment, I'm not saying that you're a bad mom, because we all get so drawn in it. I was guilty of it, that you're doing this, and they're just sitting there waiting, like, give me that attention. And they walk away because they're like, Mom, I got to tell you something. And we're like, yeah, tell me later. No, stop what you're doing at that moment, because you don't know what that child's about to tell you, because they might not tell you later. They might have felt the need at that moment to tell you something that they're struggling with, whether they're depressed. I mean, God forbid, look at all these children that have committed suicide. They have that moment where they want to tell you something. Don't push them away. Whatever it is, put it down, take that 5 seconds and just hear them out. And if something is going to take longer than usual, say, baby, you know what? This is so important what you have to tell me, and I want to give you all the attention when you give it to me. Just give me 5 minutes to finish this, and I promise you I'll give you my undivided attention. But don't shoosh them away.
Love the insight. Now, can you give our listeners more insight? What would be like some telltale symptoms that you can catch in yourself? So what would be, some things that business owners could look out for, like, hey, I'm doing that thing Wendy told me not to do. What are the symptoms that we can catch in ourselves, maybe in a behavior or a thought pattern?
I think, as parents, I'm guilty of it. You get so frustrated with me. I had 5 children looking for my attention, and I would end up yelling, like, leave me alone, like, go to your room. Like, I think you need to take a moment and kind of just breathe, and remember that all they want is your attention. So it could be annoying at the moment, or they're all wanting, you just gotta kind of take time to unwind. I used to hide in my closet. I used to be like, kids, I just need 5 minutes. And I would go in the closet just for 5 minutes. I'd put the alarm on my thing, and I'm like, I need 5 minutes to just take it all in. And then I would just, after 5 minutes was enough for me. Okay, now you first, then you, you know what I mean? And then I can give them all the attention that they want. It's hard. Being a parent is so hard. They don't come with instructions. They're all so different. As a mom, you want to give them so much. And sometimes we do things like we're giving them everything that they wanted. For example, my boys, they tell me now, I wish you would have spent more time with us. This was during my last years when they were in high school. When I was working so much, they said, I wish you would have spent more time with us. And I'm like, well, I did it because I wanted to pay for that football, uniform, or I wanted to buy you that new Nintendo that cost $500 or whatever. And they were like, you know what? I wish you didn't give us those things, and I would have gotten over that, and I would have had more time with you. And that kills me. I mean, I give them time now, but hearing that as a mom broke my heart, because we think we're doing the right thing. I'm going to get emotional. We think we're doing the right thing by working so much to give them all these material things and all these things that we think they want. My son went to the best private school, all boys school. And now he said, I didn't need that, Mom. I just needed more time with you. But I worked so much that high school year to put him into the best high school, to put him into the best teams that we thought we were doing was best for them. And all they wanted was that time with us, But I mean, I don't regret it, because I did it out of love. I wanted to, to give my children what I never had, I came from a very broken home. I've been on my own since I was 14. I didn't have my parents. So I wanted to give my kids all that. And, at that age, when they were now in high school, they're so busy with their friends. We're thinking, they don't want attention with me, but they did. They did. So, just listen more to what they want. And before we make decisions of what we think they need or they want, talk to them about it. And, don't push them if they don't want to do the football, if they don't want to do the hockey. Don't make them, because you'll regret it later.
Thank you so much for opening up and being vulnerable with, myself and the listeners, that meant so much to me. Maybe I definitely needed that kick in the butt because, again, guilty is charged, right? And, sometimes it takes another parent or another mom to, just tell their story. And in your own mind, you're like, oh my gosh, I'm so guilty of this. Oh my gosh. Yeah. But that definitely brought it to, the front of my awareness and my consciousness. So, when I go pick him up from school today, it's going to be front and center. And for those of clients who are going to call me after 3:30 today, sorry, not sorry. I'm going to be shutting off the phones, but my team will be there to answer the call. No worry.
I call my girlfriends, and I know that my best friend, she works all day. She runs a business too. And the only time I get to talk to her is when she's driving to go get her kids at 3:00. So we talk, from 3 to like 3:20 when she gets to school, 3:30 when they get out. But the minute I hear the kids get in the car, I'm like, I'm going to let you go now, because I hear them. They're so excited to tell mommy about their day. And I don't want her to get caught up in the conversation with me, that she's not giving them that time that they're looking forward to talking to mom about the crazy things that happen in school.
Wow, Wendy. I love that we had this conversation today. The universe and the higher power definitely knew that you needed to kick my butt. And for the listeners out here or watchers, if you're here with the YouTube channel, in all love, with every ounce of compassion and empathy, it's hard being a business owner and a parent. It's just plain and simply hard. You're not alone. We're all going through this. But like Wendy really just kicked my butt, I need to take off my trustee hat and put on mom hat. And then maybe I need to get a chin strap and make sure that I can't take that off, really be in that moment. So I want to challenge all my listeners, all business owners, when you're with your kids or your nieces, your nephews, anybody who's, really looking up to you. I'm going to use kids just because it's easier. If you don't have a child, you know who I'm talking about, your special situation. I'm going to challenge you to put down the phone, turn it off, because we didn't always have these. It's not necessary. It's never been necessary, but that small human is. And it's not a matter of necessary. That small human is so wanted, so loved. Don't forget that over a phone, over a business message, over an email. Stay in your moment. Stay with that small human. They need you. They need you. And that time you spend now, as Wendy told us, it's going to impact them forever. Her kids, mine's 6, I can't testify here, but her kids are in their 20s and they remember their childhood and how she was and how she really challenged herself.
What's
put on that hat and to stop.
My boys are older now, and they're 27, 24. One of them has been in a serious relationship. The other one hasn't. And I asked them, I was like, I even asked, like, are you gay? Like, I don't judge. I don't care if he was. But I'm like, I've never seen you with a girl. He said, Mom, you told us growing up, don't ever bring a girl home unless I'm serious about her. He's like, I'm 24 years old. I'm not serious about anybody. So I'm never going to bring home someone that I'm not serious about. And my 27-year-old said the same. He's like, Mom, I want to bring home a girl that you'll be proud to say, that's my daughter-in-law. And I'm just like, wow, you actually listen to me.
Because you're right. So often we think they're totally not listening.
They do listen. They do. And they instill the things that you teach them, even though they might not do it right away. They do. Growing up, I heard them, they would bicker with each other. And I used to say to them, that's so ugly. Like when we're in public, you guys doing that, it makes us look like a bad family, like a broken family when you guys are bickering with each other. And, in public, like, don't do that. And I remember one time my daughter comes to me because she had seen 2 girls bickering. And she goes, Mom, look at those girls. They're fighting with each other. That looks so bad. I'm like, oh, you notice? So they don't do it anymore. Like they don't fight with this brother and brother. So they are listening. They might not always, instill what you teach them, but They do in time. They really do. Kids are sponges. Whatever you teach them from a young age to older. And, and don't start when your kids are 5, 6 or 7, like you said. Your kid was 1. My children, the minute they were sitting up, they were babies. I was already saying no, because they know. 5, 6 months old, trust me, they know.
Oh, yeah.
And they would look at me and be like, no. I'm like, yes, no. Like, you can't have that. You can't touch that. So you can teach them at a young age. Don't wait, like you said, the Google Gaga talk. No, these are little humans. Teach them, talk to them how you would an adult, not because you're treating them as an adult, but because they're human. They want to be treated like a human, not like a little Gaga Google. They're not. That's not, you don't want to instill that in them, because then they're going to be these oversensitive children who are insecure. You want to teach them to be strong at a young age. Like, no, when my kids used to fall down, I used to say, and they start crying, I'm like, stop crying. There's no blood. You'll be fine. Come here. Let me see. It's all better now. Go. So
you're
now,
my spirit animal.
So in the future, after the first fall, they'd be like, and I'd be like, you're fine. Come here. After that, when
no blood gushing, we're good.
Yeah. When they would fall again, they would say, I good, mommy, I good. And they would keep going. You know why? Because children react to your reaction. So when they fall and they're like, oh, yeah, good. Then now the kid's all scared, like, oh my God, something's wrong with me. But if you be like, you're fine, get up, there's nothing wrong with you, then they're not so quick to cry over something that's really not a big deal. So you have to start doing that when they're little. You can't wait till they're older, because it's going to be harder to teach them then.
Even when they're little, they can take it. I remember when Dominic was a baby, and I didn't use a different vocabulary. Like, I still used a collegiate vocabulary. And even if he didn't understand a word, he would ask me. The same way that you and I learned big words, we would ask somebody, we would consult the dictionary. Same thing. If he doesn't understand a word, he will ask me. And then we'll bust out the dictionary and we'll look it up and we'll use it in a few sentences. And they understand. Don't minimize them.
No.
Remember how you were starting a business and everyone wanted to minimize you and tell you that you couldn't do it and you couldn't handle it? Don't do that to them.
Yeah. Exactly. It's all about communication. Whether it's your children, your spouses, your friends, it's all communication. People just want to be heard. They want you to listen. And you want your children to be able to feel comfortable at a young age to come to you about things that you might not want to hear. Because as teenagers and adults, you want them to feel comfortable to come to you and not their friends. And I love that I had that relationship with my kids, that I always have that table that, listen, I always said to them, I'd rather hear it from you than from someone else. I'm going to be more upset if I hear from someone else. So just tell me the truth and we'll figure it out together. But if I hear from someone else, I'm going to be really upset.
Agreed. I love how you think. Wendy, it's been such a pleasure having you on. Like I said, the universe knew that I needed to talk to you about this. That also means, again, because I know that I'm not alone, as much as, sometimes my conscious brain will be like, no, there's nobody else going through this. This is your little island and this is your little pity party. I know that I'm not going through this alone. And I know that there's other business owners, entrepreneurs, aspiring entrepreneurs out there who are going through the same thing. And listen, y'all are not alone. However, you do need to recognize it in order to fix it. Just like when you would recognize something that's going wrong in your business, you would get an advisor and they would come in and they would help you fix it, right? Same idea. We're just dealing with our own little people. So step back. Remember to, take off the entrepreneur hat and put on the parent hat and really keep it on and be in the moment. Because we only have so much time. We're not getting any more of this. Be in the moment with your kids. So, Wendy, I am so glad that you came on today because, like I said, the universe knew that we definitely needed to speak. And it was such an honor, having you pour into my audience, my listeners, and, opening up. Thank you for opening up and really showing us that emotional side of you.
I'm a mom. I'm a human. I'm a tough cookie, but I do have a soft side, a big soft side, because, again, my children are everything to me. Like,
Yeah.
I'm so obsessed with them. I love them so much. Like, it hurts how much I love them. And I just want them to be proud of me. And I want them to know how much I love them and accept them for whatever they are, whatever they do. It doesn't matter. At the end of the day, my love for them is so unconditional. It's never going to change anything.
I so agree. I want to go get Dominic from school now. What you doing?
But thank you for having me. Mwah.
Oh, no, it was such a pleasure. So everyone, I had Wendy with us today.
The most important thing is having a tribe to help you. Don't be afraid to ask. Don't feel like you're less of a mom if you're asking someone for advice. I'm always here if anybody needs advice. You know, I raised 5 of them. I have a little bit of experience, and I raised 6 foster kids. So yeah.
A little experience, right? Just a little, just a teeny bit.
Just a little. So,
you're amazing. Thank you so much for coming on. Everyone, I've had Wennevill Designs, Miss Beautiful Wendy, on with us today. And boy, did she share. If you guys are just now tuning in, go back. You're going to want to hear this. This is all about balancing being a parent, a mom, dad, whatever label you're using, and a business owner. Because there's so much business owners are balancing, right? Why not parenthood? Why not just throw that into the mix? So make sure that you're listening to this episode and share it with other parents, because we're not the only one going through it. You're not the only one going through it, and neither are your friends. But without sharing and really talking about and exposing these issues, then we feel like our little islands, and we do have our little pity parties, and we feel we kind of internalize that, I don't want to call it hate, but that disappointment in ourselves. So let's not do that. We are a team here, especially with the Principled Women in Business, the podcast. Make sure that you're also in the Facebook and the LinkedIn groups so that you can get access to the conversation and the solutions that we're creating over there. So you've been listening to the Principled Women in Business podcast with myself, Lauren Dulgheru, aka the Solutionist, and the beautiful Wendy of Wennevill Designs. Thank you so much for being with us. And I do hope that I get to see you again very soon. And, let's have another conversation, because that was epic.
Thank you. Have a great day.
Thank you. You too.
And that wraps up another episode of the Principled Women in Business podcast. Follow us on social media to never miss an episode and to unlock full access to your trusted business solution center. Find us on Facebook, LinkedIn, Insta, and YouTube. Till next time, stay strong and keep crushing. Find us at laurendulgheru.me or call 407-337-1117.